So, welcome. My name is Writer Maven. I am the host of the Wrestling Receipt podcast. I cover all things Judgment Day. Dom, Liv, Raquel, Finn, JD, Roxanne, Poor Carlito, and El Grande Americano, and Los Americanos. Do you proclaim Daddy Dom as your King of the Luchadors? Because he did retain his Intercontinental Championship against Penta using some Eddie Guerrero tactics and by lying, cheating, and stealing. Um, used the Timekeeper's Hammer, which is very ingenious. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, he pretty much won an Eddie Guerrero faction using the Timekeeper's Hammer against Penta, and then did a 619 with that hammer and hit it in his boot. Very ingenious. Dirty Dom also set up accidentally, or accidentally on purpose, um, for Finn and JD to defend their tag team titles against Team AJ Lee, which is AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, next week on Monday Night Raw. And will Finn and JD finally lose the tag team titles this time? Or will something else happen? I'll discuss that as well. Roxanne and Raquel lost to Lyra and Bailey today, but they did step up to Stephanie Vaquer. So hopefully now they're getting their own storyline. I got a little rant on Raquel I'm going to go into in a little bit, but hopefully they're getting free of other people's storylines of Vortex and they can start focusing on their own storyline, which is sorely needed. The Vision broke up before the Judgment Day, so insert your cry emoji here, when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed took out Seth Rollins. Now, to be fair, this faction was not clicking. Seth and Becky had a lot more chemistry this time compared to the last time they hooked up together, which was so many years ago. So they clicked, but Seth and Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman just wasn't clicking. So this could have been just a mercy kill. Also, Seth Rollins might actually be injured this time. Now, we said that the last time, and he pulled that whole, thing to trick CM Punk. So this could be like a fool me once type of deal with Seth Rollins, but he was in the sling, but we don't know if he's doing the whole kayfabe bit or not and trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and trying to work people. So I don't know. But it could be an actual injury that they had to do this, or it could be a whole entire work again. I don't know. But we'll see in the coming future on what happens. Um, Either we get worked or it's an actual injury and they had to just pull this trigger, kind of like what they had to do with Liv. So that kind of means that the Judgment Day are kind of stuck because nobody can really turn because they just did this turn, but who knows? Maybe Triple H is getting more creative now. Finally, Asuka was allowed to stand tall over Rhea Ripley. The Io Cody Asuka storyline is great, and I actually like it. Asuka's being a bully to Cody and things like that. But the Rhea edition is meh at best. Because they are refusing, absolutely refusing, to acknowledge Rhea's past and what she's done to Asuka. Um, she had done Asuka dirty. She came up, challenged for Asuka, beat her then, and there's some other things as well. There's some things here, history wise, Rhea has done to Asuka that is not being addressed. And if you look into that history, Asuka has every right to not want to fuck around with Rhea. It's kind of the same thing with this whole history Rhea has with Dom and Liv and Raquel. She did some shit to them. But does any of their points, Dom, Liv, and Raquel's point, get brought up in regards to Rhea? No. It's kind of like how quick now they're all saying, oh, at Crown Jewel on Saturday, they were saying Asuka's being so abusive to Cody. I'll say, okay, yeah, she is, but you know who else was abusive? Rhea. You know who she was abusive to? Dom, Liv, and Raquel. She was straight up bullying. She was bullying Dom and being horrible to Dom. She took out Liv. She took out Raquel, all because they were standing up for Natalia. But do you get that brought up regarding Rhea? No. So that's why a lot of Rhea's additions to the storyline fall flat. Whenever Rhea comes up on the screen, I'm ignoring it because there's no point to getting invested with the Rhea side of the storyline. They keep glossing over it. They don't want to go deeper with her. It's like they're afraid she'll look back and get booed, but hell, she's getting cheered. Right now, Dom is doing some of the most heelish shit that he's done in a while. Like seriously, like some really heelish shit, and he's still getting cheered. Now, I don't think he's gonna get his face turned out of this. He's going tweener at best, but he's still getting cheered. So why is it that Dom can go and be an absolute heel and doing what he's doing now, but Rhea they can't even put a toe into her history just to explain some shit? That's the thing that really irks me about Rhea, because they could make her character a lot more interesting and a lot more in depth, where she doesn't have to be dependent on these title matches and make herself more interesting. Because right now, what is EO doing right now with Rhea? Why is she bouncing along and just being happy and just oh yay with the finger pointing emoji with Rhea now? Like, what is she getting out of this? That's what's scaring me right now. What is EO getting out of this partnership with Rhea? All I see is that Rhea's getting another sub, and she just replaced Dom with EO now. So that's just me. Especially with the picture I took of where Rhea put her hand on EO's head before her match today. And if I can find it, I gotta find a picture where Rhea did the exact same thing to Dom 2 years ago. See, this is where I remember shit, and that's why I said don't insult your viewers' intelligence, because she did the exact same thing to Dom. So all I'm seeing is like, okay, she just replaced one sub with another. But I digress. Yeah, I can't fully invest with it. Now, I am loving Asuka. She is doing some superb heel work here. Asuka is killing it. Kairi is killing it. She's going to be a huge baby face if they play their cards correctly, because when she finally snaps and turns on Asuka, then people are going to be cheering for her. So I'm really looking forward to that if they don't fuck it up. But the whole EO and Rhea side of things, I don't get it. I mean, what what's the end goal here? Because Asuka got beat at Asuka and Kyrie got beat at Crown Jewel when Asuka should have won. She lost. So what's the point now? Are they just going to build this up into war games? I'm guessing. But even then, that's going to be like a small storyline out of what everybody else's. So what you're gonna get Asuka and maybe Cardi and maybe Roxanne and Raquel and maybe another fifth person there just to go up against Rhea, EO, um, who else is there on the face style? Stephanie maybe, I don't know. But it's like if you're leading into war games with this, it's very flat. And like I said, what's the end game here for Rhea and EO? Are they going after the tag team titles? Is Rhea gonna do what she always does and turn on the person because they're holding her back, and then Yo's gonna be looking stupid like Liv used to do, while Liv is looking up at the lights because Rhea got tired of her? It's that type of shit. But now I'm gonna get into Big Mommy Cool with Raquel Rodriguez. Now, people have been coming at Raquel for a while, and that I've talked about this and ranted about this before. They always want to call her a snake and things like that. And I keep saying to people she has not done anything yet to deserve that moniker. She's not Finn. Finn is the only one who has done some shit to the Judgment Day or Dom and Liv. So, she gets it from all sides. She posted something about Liv, she posted something about Dom, and people are saying, well, why is she now posting about Liv and Dom now? I'm like, she's always been posting about Liv and Dom. Like, just because you don't like her, or just because you want to accelerate this Judgment Day explosion, or you want Dom to live on your own, don't mean that you're making up shit. Like, that's making up shit. Like, we've seen Raquel post about Liv and Dom. We've seen her pretty much up, stick up for Liv, and she's invoked Liv positively. She has not done anything to affect that negatively yet. Is it coming in the future? Possibly so, but right this at this very moment, she hasn't done anything. So today, during Raw, um, when Raquel and Roxanne were out there confronting Stephanie Vaquer, the discourse on the X was that how come Raquel didn't mention Liv's name when bringing up Sakura and like bringing up Liv not getting a title shot? I'm like, why the fuck will should Raquel bring up Liv to Stephanie about a title shot? Like, Liv is injured. She can't do anything. Liv's out. She's not around. I mean, why would Raquel bring her up? Like, that's silly. And then people are upset. Well, Raquel should be challenging Stephanie. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. But so yeah, Raquel should step up to challenge. However, first challengers never win. So Roxanne is slotting into that spot. And to me, there's not a problem with Roxanne kind of leapfrogging Raquel here because Roxanne actually did beat Io. Like if Io had won the title, we would not be having this conversation about Roxanne challenging for a title shot. Now, granted, they probably should not have done this after Raquel and Roxanne lost, and especially after Roxanne got pinned. But it is what it is. I'm just happy they're getting out of the whole Byron Bailey thing right now. But still, Roxanne actually beat Io, who was challenging Stephanie at WrestlePalooza, so I get it. And we might get a little bit of a stopgap match between Roxanne and Stephanie, just to give Stephanie her first defense. Because, like I said, first defenses rarely win. And then they can shuffle over to Raquel. Raquel could be that second challenger, but even at that, I don't think Raquel is going to win in that match either because they seem to be so high on Stephanie. But I'm hoping right now with this interaction with Stephanie is that Stephanie gets some character because I'm really bored to death of her. Actually, I mean she's a great wrestler, but I'm bored of her. Like I don't see the fuss with her right now. But I'm hoping the Stephanie being involved with Judgment Day stuff can actually give her some character, and it gives Raquel and Roxanne something to do. But what I'm going back to Raquel on is that I'm tired of them always coming after Raquel for some shit. Like, make up your mind. Either, y'all, they want her to step up for this title shot when you know that she's probably going to lose it first. If she does go first. And then you're on Raquel for posting about Liv. You're calling her a snake. Like, if Raquel wanted to turn on fans, certain Liv fans just can't shut up about certain things, then I wouldn't blame her. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, she has not done anything. And like I said, I get Judgment Day fatigue. I get they people want to break them up. I get they want Dom and Liv on their own. But at this particular moment, I don't think Dom and Liv are breaking from Judgment Day right now. If that happens, it's next year because of all the injuries and all the shuffling of storylines and things like that. You know, and yeah, I get the fatigue, like I said, but it's just I don't think it's just not going to happen. Like I said, I still think the plan is Finn and JD are breaking away. I could be wrong about that, and maybe they do break up. But even if Dom and Liv break away from Judgment Day at this moment, they're still going to be involved with the Judgment Day in some sort of form. Dom's going to be involved with Finn, and then Liv is going to be involved with Raquel and Roxanne. So they're going to still always be in their orbit. So just because Dom and Liv break away doesn't mean that they'll be separated from the Judgment Day. And I think that's what people expect, and that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for a long time. I expect them all to be in each other's orbits until WrestleMania of next year. It's because it's not been that drawn out. And speaking of Liv, um, it's getting increasingly annoying to see every Raw and every PLE people saying Liv's going to return and then crashing out when she doesn't. It's yeah, I'm getting to that point. Like we got Dom over here doing his thing, winning on his own, like some people keep saying that they wanted him to do. Yeah, he's cheating, but he's winning on his own. But Dom is making waves. Dom is taking care of shit on his own. Dom is making some moves. Dom is actually doing some more interesting stuff. But every time, every Monday and every PLE, oh, Liv is going to return and help him. Liv is going to come return to do this. Liv is going to return to do that. And then and without fail, when Liv does not return, there's a crash out. I get missing Liv. Lord knows I do. Because I miss Naomi. I miss her presence. I know she won't be back until probably 2027, if that. If she doesn't, after she gives birth. I get it. But good Lord. Just not everything has Dom is doing has to be tied in Liv. Like I keep seeing like, well, Dom can lose his title and that's what prompts Liv to return. Like, why does Dom have to lose his title for Liv to return? Like nobody was saying Liv should lose her title for Dom when she was around. Like we don't get that for Dom. It's like Dom needs to do this. Dom needs to do that. Dom should be in danger, then Liv should return. Like it should not be like that. Dom at this moment is the king of the luchadors. He's El Jefe. He's the double champ. Like at this point, I think he can be standing on his own 2 feet regarding what's going on. Finn, JD, whatever. If Liv wants to return, yeah, good, fine. But she needs to be coming in, starting into her own shit, which is Raquel and Roxanne whenever they kick that off. And even when she does return, they have to set that up. You can't do that immediate thing with Liv, Roxanne, and Raquel because nothing has been done. That's what I've been arguing about with Raquel. Like, I get people want to accelerate this split, but Raquel hasn't done enough to Liv. Roxanne hasn't done enough to Liv as well. Yeah, was she shaded with was she being sneaky with Liv regarding Nom? Yeah. But you can also parse that away with Finn just being influenced with her because now that Finn's been away from from Roxanne, he hasn't been really doing that. So you could just write it off like saying like, hey, Finn was telling me to do all this. I had enough of it and I stopped. There's your answer. But Liv, Raquel, and Roxanne have to build all that up, and it's going to take some time. So not everything is going to be immediate. And like I said, Liv should not be involved with this Dom and Finn stuff anyway because they have their own history as stepdad and stepson and Judgment Day history going back 2-3 years to funnel their story. It doesn't really need Liv. Can Liv add the flavor to it? Yeah. But she shouldn't be like a catalyst for anything right now. She's been too far gone right now to get that started, and it's not like she can do anything to Finn anyway. Like, what is she gonna do to Finn? Slap him? It's not like they're letting people do intergender matches like they were doing in AEW, which they had a really nice intergender 6-man tag on Wednesday, by the way. But they're not doing that. You're getting mixed match at best. So what is Liv gonna do to Finn? Especially now if she decides to come back at this very moment and she's still injured and still can't wrestle. What can she do to Finn? That's my problem. That's my problem with the whole Liv thing. Like, this isn't a rant against Liv herself. This is just more a rant about fans surrounding Liv because it just gets to a point where everything is just like drowning out whatever Dom's doing for Liv. Dom is doing his thing, and if you're a Liv Dom fan and it's an emphasis on the Dom here, like you should be able to enjoy Dom without wanting Liv to return every Monday and every PLE. Because I'm going to say this right now, I don't think Liv is going to return this year. I thought it was going to be by Survivor Series, but if she is not back by Survivor Series, I don't think she's going to be returning this year. So the last chance for Liv is probably Survivor Series. If she does not come back by Survivor Series, then we probably won't see her until Royal Rumble. Monday Night Raw, pre-Raw. To cover what happened this weekend, Dom has a new neck tattoo. It's a image of his uncle Rey Mysterio Senior mask. It's the mask that he's been wearing to some of these major events. It's the Rey Mysterio Senior mask, and it's on his neck. Some people were putting it on par with Cody's neck tattoo, but Cody's tattoo is just way out there and way too big, and it grows every time you see it. And with Dom's tattoo, since he's already tatted up in the first place, I mean, it'll fit with whatever he's got going on. Because I'm pretty sure he's gonna add to it, and it's probably gonna have some more stuff going on with his neck tattoo. I mean, I wouldn't be getting the neck tattoo, but it's not me, it's not my body, it's him, and I think he can rock with it. That's just him. That's Dom. That's Dirty Dom. And if he wants a tattoo of his uncle's mask, then hey, I am not gonna be telling that man what to do with his body. Um, Going on from there, now here's a little interesting bit. There was a Dom interview. Now, apparently, I cannot find the source, but apparently some other people have heard this. So, apparently, Dom mentioned Rock's Dom in a positive light. He had been shooting it down, but he mentioned that in a positive light. Now, my opinion on that, I'm down for messiness and drama. At this point, because a lot of Liv fans are eating their young at this moment. Hey, if they want to do something like that, hey, be my guest. At this particular moment, I don't really care. Do they have to get together? No, but do they have to get to? Do I want them together? Not particularly, but I'm not gonna pass on some drama and some messiness. And they're shifting Dom closer to Eddie anyway. And if they want to make Eddie like Dom like Eddie, who was this flirtatious type of guy, then hey, that's probably where they can start going with it. I don't know. That's just out there. I'm not gonna be rapping Dom's knuckles some people because people were all getting upset for Dom for saying that. But hey, it is what it is. If he wants to mention something like that, fine. Now, will I think it might wreck with this character a little bit? Yeah, but if they manage to get it in a certain way, I'm not gonna be all that pressed about it because, like I said, I've had my feel on certain fans right now, and if it happens, it happens. Like I don't care. You know, I'm a Dom fan. I'm going with the flow. Um, but it is interesting that if you've been following on Instagram, Liv and Roxanne have been liking a lot of Dom stuff because, yeah, like I said, Dom has started following Roxanne. It's not a like, it's a follow. So there is some things going on behind the scenes right now. So maybe in the coming future it might build up to something else, but I don't know. I'm just tossing that out there. Don't hate on Dom for just saying that he might be mentioning Rox Dom positively. Because hey, it's an interview. You know, it is what it is. Um Also, at Crown Jewel, Cena teased hitting a 619 against AJ Styles. I do think Cena is next up for Dawn, but they have to finish up the whole Penta and Rusev stuff first. So because Cena teased it, but he didn't hit the 619 during that whole finisher spam. So I do think Dom will be up for Cena for one of these final 4 dates coming up in the future. But now let's get into actual Monday Night Raw, pre-Raw, or at least during the walk-in. Um, did y'all see the walk-in with Dom, Roxanne, and Raquel? They were acting just fine, and by I mean just fine. They were talking, they were okay, they were cool. There was not, you didn't get Roxanne and Raquel having animosity towards Dom. Dom wasn't separating himself from Raquel and Roxanne. They were all chatting. Um, so that's my little confirmation there. I always said that we needed a little scene of Roxanne and Raquel reacting, or at least in Dom's proximity to see where they could be going. And they seemed fine with Dom. So there was no tension, nothing like that. And since apparently Finn and JD weren't there, this actually gave us a nice little separation to see that kind of a scene because it's just been everything's been dominated with Dom, Finn, and JD. So now here we had a little scene of Dom, Raquel, and Finn, Raquel and Roxanne, that was needed. And like I said, no tension. And this is despite what Dom did last week. So we know Dom pretty much tagged in JD and left JD high and dry. So they know about it, and they were still interacting with Dom like normal. They weren't upset. They weren't standoffish. None of that. They were just interacting with Dom like normal. Because they could have really easily had Dom walk in by himself or Roxanne and Raquel walk in by themselves, but they showed all three together. So that's my confirmation that they at least are okay with each other for now. Um, Going into Raw, we had Penta and Rusev talking with each other backstage. Rusev and Penta had that little chat, and Rusev said he's not going to interfere, which he went against, but they were kind of jarring back and forth a little bit. Penta walks off to go to his match, and then the funny bit we see is like Dom walking up while Rusev is still there. Like, so Rusev is in the foreground, Dom's in the background. Dom walks up, he sees Rusev, and then he slowly backs up and walks away. It was hilarious. Like, yeah, Dom, he don't want that smoke for Rusev, but I like how he just kind of like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go another direction here, and then he walks off another direction. Hilarious. Enough said. And then the Intercontinental Championship match between Dom versus Penta. This was a great match. Dom pulled out that suicide dive tornado DDT, which is a thing of beauty. Like I said, Rusev broke a promise and came out. Penta took him out. The finish came when Dom went for his titles. Then he tossed one of his titles as a distraction to grab the timekeeper's hammer. When the ref is distracted, he takes the hammer to hit Penta. He shoves it into his boot, and then he does the 619 to Penta with that hammer in his boot. So that hammer is hitting Penta in the face because he did that 619, and then he delivers a frog splash to pin Penta. And then one of the more ingenious things here is that as soon as it was done, Dom tosses the hammer when nobody's looking. Yeah, it was just a really great match. It's really showing Dom's pretty much channeling Eddie's lie, cheat, and steal era is really unique way of cheating. Like, he's not doing the same cheats. He's doing something different. With AJ, he had the boot slip off, and then with AJ, he had like the what did he do with AJ? He did something else with AJ, but he's doing other things with Rusev. He did the mule kick. Here he's doing the hammer. So I'm really looking forward to what other antics Dom does to get out of stuff and cheat, because it's just been really innovative here. Um Rusev is still interfering, so I bet next week, because they are going to have Dom versus Rusev next week, that Penta's going to come out because Rusev did interfere. So that I think Rusev and Penta are going to spin off into their own feud after this. Let's see. So, and then now we go into Raquel and Roxanne versus Lyra and Bailey. I love Raquel and Roxanne in red. Raquel was wearing her usual red outfit. That's what she wore at WrestleMania, but Roxanne had her own like red outfit, and I really like it. It's a nice color on them. It stands out. It pops. I like it. They had a really nice presentation. They're still using that they're still using that Judgment Day theme when they should either come out to Raquel's or Roxanne's theme. And I really hope they go back to On the Other Side, since they're always talking about like people going back to their old themes. I hope On the Other Side comes back, because boy, Lord knows that they need it. Um, Raquel is still showing out. She's still doing her power moves. She's still doing stuff. Roxanne had a good showing as well. Bailey and Lyra get the pin after Lyra slaps Bailey to get Bailey into role model mode, and Roxanne gets pinned. Let's sigh. I mean, now that this match is over, hopefully Raquel and Roxanne can start getting their own stories, because they really need that. I really hate that Roxanne gets pinned. because I'm not a fan of that. Like she's getting pinned way too many times, and like I said, if I gotta complain about Dom getting pinned all this time, I gotta complain about Roxanne. It's not fair. Nothing more can be said about this match except that Bailey was looking great, and I do like how she had to get slapped to get into role model mode. But hopefully now they can go do something on their own, Bailey and Lyra, and leave Raquel and Roxanne alone. Um, and now let's come on to Dom, AJ Styles, and Scrap Daddy Adam Pierce. Scrap Daddy is praising AJ's performance at Crown Jewel. When Dom comes up, he complains that he has yet another match with Rusev because he does have a point. Why is he facing Rusev again? Um, Scrap Daddy said, "Didn't you cheat?" And Dom says he knows nothing about that hammer. Didn't you use a hammer? He's like, I don't know nothing. You know how Dom is. Um, Dom says he's the only working champion around here, which is true. Um, but going back to the whole cheating thing, he was like, Dom, Scrap Daddy was all like, "Didn't you cheat against Rusev last time?" As an explanation for why he's facing Rusev, and Dom was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Dom is just deflecting hard. Dom also came in antagonizing AJ because he was like, you know, AJ doesn't know about being a double champ, so he was antagonizing AJ too. AJ calls Dom Cheer McGee, which is hilarious and in line with his country self, and says that Dom has a point about Dom being the only one defending, which is true. Dom is pretty much the only one of the only working champions going around. It's him and Sammy. And then the other ones do like occasional title matches, but they're the ones that's been pretty much defending their titles regularly. AJ says he thinks JD and Finn should defend their titles too. Dom looks like he's panicking at this point. AJ says that Finn and JD should defend their tag team titles against himself and Dragon Lee next week. Scrap said Scrap Daddy's like, "That's a great idea, Dom." So he's putting like the idea on Dom, and then Dom was like, that wasn't my idea." And then Scrap Day sets the match for next week and thanks Dom for the inspiration. And AJ says, "You're the man, dude." So I this whole conversation is hilarious. And then Scrap Daddy asks if he should let Finn and JD know or Dom should let him know. And then Dom is like, "I know I'm the man, but I'll let him know." Again, hilarious. I really enjoyed Dom and AJ's interactions because Scrap Daddy too, Adam Pierce too, because they were just funny in this whole thing. Dom is, deflecting hard. AJ's calling Dom Cheater McGee. You know, Scrap Daddy's all like, "Oh, thanks for the idea, Dom." Um, but to for some notes from this, what I'm taking away from this interaction, I think Dom did this on purpose. This is not. This is like I'm setting this up accidentally on purpose, but he did this on purpose. Why am I saying this? For a couple of reasons. One, he knew that going up to Scrap Daddy Anna Pierce would put the focus from Scrap Daddy onto the Judgment Day and himself. And then he did the extra bit of confronting AJ about having no title. So he's getting AJ's mind on a title and he's complaining to Scrap Daddy about being the only working champion, which is true, like I said. So even though Scrap Daddy's having a problem with Dom cheating, and that's why Dom is in the match, but he's right. Dom has been a working champion. True. So that gets AJ to thinking, hey, we can challenge for the tag team titles because Finn and JD hasn't been defending, and AJ did pin JD last week. So that's how you get your tag team title match set up. And this is all due to Dom just going in there being upset about facing Rusev again. And he kills two birds with one stone. He gets to complain about his, having to defend, but he also puts the idea in AJ and Scrap Day's head on defending. And since Finn and JD not defending is pretty much a meme at this point that, even the WWE itself acknowledged, then they pretty much had to put that out there and have it done. And I thought that was a pretty ingenious way of doing it. Um, so I'm also of two minds on how I would want that match to go down next week, but I'll get into that when I cover next week's stuff. But I do think Dom did that on purpose. And Dom does have a point on how come he has to keep defending. Because at this point, people keep going to the well too many times. It's kind of like a Rhea situation. Like, you already had your chance, dude. Like, let Dom go face somebody else. But I'd rather him Dom go on and face Dragon Lee, even though he's going to be facing him for the Mega Championship next Saturday. But like, get Dom some other people to face, dude. Like, give me Cena. Let's get that going on. Um, and note that they placed this as Dom's idea, so Dom is also kind of making those matches too. Like, he's always done that before. That's kind of canon. Like, Dom can make those matches. So, you know, Scrap Daddy could just say like, "Hey, I'm taking direction from Dom because he has been the one making the matches for Judgment Day, and he has been doing that for almost a year now, almost. So it's not out of pocket." Um, but yeah, he does have a point on like how come he's the only one defending. So I think, but again, the whole thing was hilarious. Now we're gonna go into the Stephanie Vaquer interview. Um, Stephanie is being interviewed when Raquel and Roxanne roll up. Roxanne states that she should have been in the WrestlePalooza match since she beat EO. True. Stephanie tells her to stop crying about it, and step up, and then Roxanne says she'll challenge on her terms, basically. Roxanne is looking to be Stephanie's next challenger, and they will have a match next week. Raquel, I think, is getting to challenge after that. I'm not getting why people thought Raquel should bring up Liv. She's injured, so why would you bring up Liv here? And the switch up, like I was talking about earlier in my rant, the switch up on Raquel is insane. First, people discounted her, like they were wanting to leapfrog They wanted Roxanne to leapfrog Raquel, and now they want Raquel to face Stephanie first. Like, what changed here? But I do think Roxanne is going to be that first challenger for Stephanie before she moves on to other serious challengers, and I think that's fine. Roxanne has time; she can get she can get a title later. And Raquel, I think if you want to do anything with Liv at this point, you kind of need to get like Raquel into these situations regarding a major title, at least. So next week on Raw, we got Dom versus Rusev for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Roxanne versus Stephanie Vaquer, and Finn and JD versus Team AJ Lee, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee for the tag team titles. Um, Regarding Finn and JD versus Team AJ Lee, I'm of two minds with that. I can have it go either way. One, Dragon Lee and AJ win the tag titles where they lose, and Finn is upset about it. And then, or you could do this. Since Dom is buddy buddy with El Grande Americano and Los Americanos can prevent Dragon Lee and AJ Styles from winning because they have that beef. And so Finn and JD retain, but they owe Los Americanos a tag team title shot, and then that's when Dom helps Los Americanos win the tag team titles for Los Americanos. And then Los Americanos can keep fighting with AJ Lee and AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, and then you have some fallout for Dom getting those titles onto his buddies. You could go either way there. Also with Finn, Finn is gonna be upset, blah blah blah. Why did you set up, this match? But you can have Dom have a counterpoint to Finn by saying, "Hey, I've been defending these titles, these double titles. I've been in two promotions. I've been doing all this work while y'all haven't been doing anything. Finn and JD haven't pretty much fought since what Triple Mania." Or they've done Triple Mania and they've done some matches since then, but it's been few and far between. Dom has been doing the matches, and even Raquel and Roxanne have been doing matches. And no, people cannot say that Raquel and Roxanne have been losing because Raquel and Roxanne have been actually winning. Roxanne has been losing more, but Raquel has been picking up the slack. So out of the tag team, Raquel and Dom have been winning. So you can phase it to Finn, like, hey, if you're getting mad about having to defend your title, Raquel, Roxanne, and I have been doing all these matches and defending titles and winning. Like, what have you been doing? You can have that counterpoint. I fully expect Penta to interfere with that Rusev match next week, because they've been in each other's orbit. I don't know how Dom's gonna cheat on this one, but I do think he will. I do think he will retain. I don't think they're going to go with Rusev here. Um, but yeah, just to wrap things up, this was an overall nice Raw. Oh, before I get into the just wrapping up Raw, I do think Roxanne should not lose next week. I don't want Stephanie winning, but Roxanne should be losing. So I hope that's in a DQ or a count out or a no contest or something like that. Something to protect Roxanne. Like have it like be a brawl, like maybe Raquel and Roxanne jump Stephanie or something like that. I don't know, but I don't want Roxanne to lose because she would probably lose, but she shouldn't be losing back to back like that. But anywho, but yeah, that was Monday Night Raw. It was a nice Raw. We got some nice advancement on things. We got a tag team title match finally set up. We got Dom defending his title again next week. We got Roxanne versus Stephanie next week. So we're getting a lot of nice motion here. Like I said, Finn is probably gonna be pissed, but Dom can catch this counter with like, "Hey, I've been defending my title. I've been doing all this stuff. You have been doing shit." So Dom can do that. Um, so, and then yeah, like I said, I'm 50-50 on who wins that tag team title. Like, yeah, Dragon Lee and AJ Styles can win, but I kind of want Los Americanos to sneak in there to help or act like they're helping, just so they can get the next title shot and actually win. But that was Raw.